Hello, everybody. Well, today is December 9th, 2010. It has been 8 years ago today that my husband passed away. Where has the time gone? It seems like, um, see, now my mom has been gone for 5 years, coming up on 5 years. My mom died on New Year's Eve of 2005, so it'll be 5 years this year for her. And it just seemed like yesterday when my husband died. So the time is flying by. My mom had lung cancer, and my husband also had cancer. It seemed like everybody's getting cancer. Aretha Franklin has pancreatic cancer. Elizabeth Edwards just died from breast cancer. I remember when I was young, cancer was rare. You never heard of cancer. I know my grandmother died of breast cancer. But when I was young, she's the only one that I knew that died of cancer until I was a teenager. And then I had an uncle that died of cancer. But his cancer came on just suddenly. He got sick, and within a couple of weeks, he was gone. But my husband was diagnosed with cancer in 98. And he had surgery. An 18-hour surgery. He spent 10 days in ICU and another 3 days in a regular hospital room. They didn't want to send him home then, but he insisted on coming home. And 6 weeks after his surgery, he started his radiation treatments and underwent 6 weeks of that. And radiation was very hard on him, and people just don't realize that you only spend a minute or so, just a couple of minutes in the radiation room, and it's just like having an x-ray taken, basically, is what some people say. But it was just, it made him so weak and tired, and it really left scars, so to speak. But anyway, and I remember he told me on his last day of his radiation treatment, he just didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it anymore. But we went there. I went with all his to all his treatments with him, and they told him, they said, "Mr. Lester, we're not going to make you do anything that you don't want to do, but this is up to you." And he looked at me, and I said, "Whatever you decide, I'll stand by you. Whatever you decide. If you want to have the treatment, fine. If you don't, I'll walk out of here with you. Won't say nothing else about it." So he went ahead and had that last treatment. But he told me then that if his cancer ever came back, that it would just have to kill him, basically, because he said the surgery and the treatments, he would never go through that again. And so with his cancer, it was a 65% 5-year survival rate, and he lived 4 years after that. And I know his cancer had come back. He had just basically, like a year or so before he died, he just quit going to the doctor altogether. He just quit. And about 3 or 4 months before he died, he started having symptoms, and then he died on December 9th. But so I never tried to get him to go to the doctor. I asked him a couple times, did he want to go, and he said no. So that's what happened to my husband. And then my mom was diagnosed I think in September of 2005 and died in December. So that was pretty quick. And it just seemed like more and more people are getting cancer at younger ages. And that's scary. And first they blame cigarette smoke for people getting cancer. Well, true, my mom had lung cancer, and my mom was a smoker. A friend of mine that I work with, her mom died of lung cancer at age 57, and her mom was a non-smoker. And what do people do about that? Then they blame that on secondhand smoke. Well, if that's the case, if you're going to die of lung cancer if you smoke, or you're going to die of lung cancer if you're a non-smoker because of secondhand smoke, then everybody's going to die of lung cancer. I say it's either something in the genes. Smoking certainly does not help. But look at Dana Reeves. Dana Reeves never smoked, and she was young, and she died of lung cancer. You know, and all this cancer research that they've done and still can't find a cure. But they said, I was seeing it somewhere where within the next year that they could have a cure for HIV. So if they can find a cure for AIDS, but they can't find a cure for cancer, so I think a cure for cancer will probably never be found. But I do believe that a lot of it is genetic and you're predisposed to it. The particular kind of cancer that my husband had, his dad also had, and his dad's brothers had, and some of his cousins had. And the one thing that, two things they had in common there, they all died in the early 50s, and they were all male. So he didn't have any female cousins with that cancer, but it was his dad, all of his dad's brothers, and some of his male cousins. But so that was, I believe that was a genetic thing and a male gene. But anyway, one never knows what one's gonna perish from, so to speak. And another thing that I say cancer can't always be caused from smoking is look at all the children that have cancer. Children seem like more these days have cancer than ever before. So, anyway, I know that's kind of an odd subject for me to talk about today, but I like I said, I was thinking about my husband today. It's been 8 years, so. But anyway, Joe and I are going to the mall in the morning, and we're going to take some, I'm not sure if we're going to have a video. We might, probably will. We usually do a video there every year, but I'm going to have some Christmas pictures and such. And that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. It's going to be bitter cold. And what about this cold weather? It is so cold here in North Carolina. It rarely ever gets real cold like this. Well, it does sometimes, but usually later on in the winter. It's not even wintertime yet. I remember the last time it was real bitter cold like this was in 2002, and it was the very year that my husband died, because by this time in 2002 we had already had a really bad ice storm. And because on the day that my husband died, the ice storm had just let up. It was still real icy outside, but it had just let up to where, you know, some of the ice was starting to melt and the sun was shining. And he was buried on the 13th, and I remember on that day, even my dad had said that that was the coldest day that he could ever remember. My dad has seen some cold days, but Dad said it was the coldest day he could ever remember. And that was really weird for it to be here in North Carolina, that it was so cold on that day that you couldn't hardly stand it. And the temperatures here early in the mornings have been like 17 degrees. And at my work, the heat has gone out in my department that I work at. Now, all summer the air was out. Now the heat's out. And it makes you dread going to work. But anyway, it's supposed to be like 22 or 23 in the morning. And I think last year when we did our Christmas video at the mall, it was like in the 20s, but it was real windy that day. So I hope it's not real bad in the morning. But anyway, we'll do a video and I'll put it up and I'll post it then. And I'll just stop boring you for now because I'm babbling. But I appreciate you listening to me. And until next time, bye-bye.